Welcome, colonists, strangers, and giant crabs. Now all we need is a giant pot of boiling water and a truckload of butter. This is episode 325 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 9th of October, 2019, and featuring a double header tonight to celebrate our final episode of Season 12. It is, first off, the new live-action reconstruction of Mission to the Unknown, originally written by Terry Nation and starring Marco Simone as Mark Corey. Then up, it is the animated version of the Macra Terror, not yet released in the United States. Written by Ian Stewart Black and starring Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, Anarchy Wills as Polly, Michael Craze as Ben, and Fraser Hines as Jamie. I'm your host for this season, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and with me on the panel tonight is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
For that South Park reference, we've been banned in China.
Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black.
I'm trying to come up with a follow-up joke related to Winnie the Pooh, but I'm failing because I'm tired and sleep deprived.
Oh, bother.
Tim, the Enchanter Sheridan, who is, I believe, gone at the moment, but will be
He's
back.
having Discord trouble.
Okay. He's having Discord trouble, and we've lost him. And back from his I don't do telesnaps break, Thomas Fireheart.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Okay, so how's everybody's week been?
Not too bad.
I say trying to buy time for Tim.
Mixed bag.
Mm.
Some very good things, some very annoying things.
I learned today not to eat Stouffer's Welsh rarebit.
It's rarely good when it's Stouffer's.
Well, the thing is, I've had Stouffer's lasagna and I've liked it. And Erin had gotten a whole bunch of Stouffer's frozen dinners to take to work, and this was one that had been hanging out for a while because she was never quite certain if she was going to eat it. And I thought, hey, I'm watching Doctor Who tonight. It's a British-style cuisine. Let's have Welsh rarebit.
Bah.
Well, for those of you that don't know what Welsh rarebit is, it's basically melted cheese on toast. Spicy melted cheese. In other words, you make a cheese sauce and you add spice to it to give it a bit of a kick, and you put it over toast. Kind of a fondue style
chip. Like a British thing.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a fondue-y kind of thing with.
Though I admit, it doesn't sound like there's enough consonants in that name for it to be truly Welsh.
Oh, it's the same. It's called Welsh rarebit, the same way that mock turtle soup is turtle. I.e., it's not. It used to be called Welsh rabbit.
Yeah.
And it just became rarebit over the last couple of centuries or so. Anyway, so I was expecting, spicy cheese sauce and something slightly crunchy on the inside. But, of course, Stouffer's couldn't do that because they apparently made actual toast, put it in with cheese sauce, and expected you to microwave it. So what I got, and first of all, their cheese sauce isn't spicy. It's just basically melted cheddar cheese over basically mush that used to be bread. It was actually quite disgusting. I mean, seriously, if you're going to be that cheap about it, just use frickin' nacho cheese. At least that has a little bit of zing.
Right? And at least it's actually a cheese sauce.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was some kind of liquefied cheddar. I'm not even going to deign it. And it didn't help that when you heat it up, that means the liquid just seeped into the bread and turned it into, bleh.
Blah and blech.
Yeah. In any case, if you're going to make something like that, put the cheese sauce in a separate container. Let you heat that up. Make your own bloody toast. Because that would have been fine. I could have, had Texas toast or something.
Yeah, toast!
But no, instead that was kind of my lunch dinner. And because it was such crap, it pretty much just went right through me. God damn.
I completed a
So-
game. If you're done with your bit for this week,
No, I was just saying, in short, don't try frozen Welsh rarebit ever.
I have completed a game this week, but there's enough extra stuff from Thomas that I figured we'll wait till next week.
Give me
in
2
fact, I
weeks.
might have a second game for next week as well. So
2 weeks.
Hmm?
2
that's
weeks.
right, 2 weeks because we have a break.
Yep.
Which is good because I'll be in Columbus next week.
Yeah, we ain't doing jack next week. I am taking that off, going, I don't have to stream tonight.
Outside of that, Blizzard has made me question whether or not I want to play their games anymore. I decided I'm playing their old games still, but I'm definitely not buying anything new.
Yeah, they've kind of gone to hell in a handbasket.
Oh yeah, they've gotten people in America so mad that the politicians have started commenting. When the politicians have noticed how much you have royally just messed up, you have officially messed up big. Because normally they don't care about video game companies unless they're doing another one of those rounds of, oh my god, think of the children. Why would you let the children play games with guns?
So, have you heard the latest online of celebrities dumping on each other?
I can't say for sure. It just kind of randomly comes around once in a while.
Martin Scorsese, the famous film director, was quoted talking about superhero movies in general and the MCU in specific, and equating them not to being real movies, but more like a theme park.
Oof.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson didn't appreciate that.
I'm sure he didn't.
Like, my thing is more, if he just kept it to, like, the bit where he's like, from what I remember reading of the full quote, he's like, well, they're well made, but I just can't sit through them and all that. It's like, if he just left it to that, it's like, okay, fair enough. They're popcorn flicks. You don't.
Yeah,
not
that's
into
to him. That's popcorn
fair
flicks.
enough.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't want to sit through them. Fine.
Yeah,
sure.
he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to go to the point of they're not films.
Yeah, going to that
That's a
point is
bit-
where you
that's a
just
bit
go,
much.
oh, fuck off.
Yeah, because Samuel L. Jackson's response is, well, not everybody likes your stuff too. So it's they're kind of pissing on each other, and I'm just like I'm slightly amused by it.
Yeah, like when
I
this
just
first
wait for
came
Samuel
up-
L. Jackson to go. Do you think the MCU looks like a bitch? Just to quote Pulp
I
Fiction
remember
at him.
thinking,
I'm just waiting for a knock on Martin Scorsese's door, and he opens. There's Samuel L. Jackson. Go, what the hell did you say about my movies?
I just
we have a
remember
channel.
thinking, like, as soon as it came up, and this was around the time that, like, a movie he directed that's going on Netflix came up, I'm like, okay, so he's accusing something of not being film, and then he's put something to Netflix, and Spielberg hates movies that go streaming services. So are they against each other now? Like, that's
Well,
the first thing that came to mind.
Spielberg's gonna have to fucking get used to it, because that's probably the way things are eventually going to be in the future.
In the future.
I know the fact that television is basically starting to lose what makes television television.
Honestly, yeah.
Because they're losing their advertisers, and that's what's used to make, most productions.
Whereas places like Netflix will actually literally go through their library of stuff that's currently on and go, what's actually moving and what's not, and they will cut the fat, whereas TV just sits there and stagnates.
Well,
There's
it's
also
not
action figure money.
That's been what's been keeping television going for a bit, is merchandising, at least as far as cartoons and stuff. The problem is that, like I said, stuff is the money is tending to go towards streaming services as they're coming out with more and more original programming.
Which is probably going to stop when they come out with more and more streaming services, as they seem to every year.
Yes, but you're countering my point here. Is the fact that companies like Fox have already thought ahead of time, and they sold all their stuff to Disney, And Fox is planning on rebranding itself as news, sports, and live TV.
Hmm.
That's why Fox recently purchased the rights to SmackDown Live. Is
Oh.
Yeah.
live TV.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I see where they're going. Yeah.
yeah,
And then they can just sell off the rights to SmackDown for streaming to whoever they decide and still make some coin on it.
correct.
Well, no, because WWE
it's-
has their own streaming
yeah,
service.
it's the
that
Well,
WWE
of course,
network.
unless they have their own streaming
Go to.
service, but
Yeah.
still, in that case, they're the one that they get that gets seen first on TV, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, and it actually that's a funny thing because they were already, as far as I can remember, Hulu would usually get edited versions of both Raw and SmackDown. So, given Disney has control of that, there's not really much of a jump.
So yeah, that's basically looks like the trend that's going to be in the future, because dramas, action shows, sci-fi shows take a lot of budget money, and if there's just not commercials, if the commercial advertising is not making that money, they're all going to turn that way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Or just shut down. I mean, the CW is probably going to be the longest because most of their shows have a smaller budget than, say, CBS, NBC,
Mm.
ABC, Fox. It's part of the reason they film in Vancouver rather than Los Angeles.
Yeah. It's cheaper.
So they may last a little longer, but eventually, 10, 20 years down the road, yeah, they're going to have to do the same thing, either change how they work or close it down. The fact that the CW is part of the new HBO super streamer already means that their programmings are already tied up in a streaming service. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. And of course, I am waiting for the great streaming service apocalypse.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You thought the .com crash was big? Wait for the streaming crash.
Yeah. Like, of all the ones coming out of this unscathed, as far as companies trying to do their own, Disney is probably going to be the only one who survived.
Netflix and Disney are the two big ones, and Netflix may merge with something else.
Mm.
Oh, and of course, Amazon Prime Video.
Mm.
Because Amazon's basically too big to die now. If
Yeah.
Amazon dies, then probably something like 40% of the United States no longer has goods.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one there. No matter how much
Anyway.
it fails, Amazon will live on.
I see that we've got Tim back.
Yep.
Yes, sorry, Discord has having connection troubles.
Yeah, you had that problem at the end of last week's show too, but hopefully it holds through.
Yep.
Anyway, we've
Right,
got a lot
better
to
the
do
heck now than
tonight.
later.
So moving on to tonight's show, we've got news and birthdays. We've got quite a bit of geek talk, of course, because Thomas is here. Then we've got basically the first episode summary. And then we're going to do our review, our final thoughts, our ratings on that. And then we'll move on to the main event, the Macra Terror, and do our review, final thoughts, and ratings. And so on. So, starting with birthdays, we've got 3 tonight. First was on the 4th of October, and that's the birthday of Daniel Anthony, who played Clyde Langer on Sarah Jane Adventures. He turned 32. God, those kids are getting old.
God, yeah, they're trying to catch up to me. No, stop it.
Next is Dudley Simpson, the composer from 1964 to 1979. Wow, and we thought Murray Gold hung around for a while.
Yeah.
He would have been 97, but died in 2017 at 95. I remember
Oh.
reporting that. And finally, today, on the 9th of October, we celebrate the birthday of our favorite person, Brian Blessed!
Fly, my Hawkman.
He turned 83.
Die!
I like how your voice kind of foreshadowed that, like you were rising. in
Just
volume
slowly
as
rising to the
you-
occasion, yes.
Well, it gave you enough. It gave you enough advance warning to brace yourself.
Right.
Because otherwise I could have just gone, yes, we're going to celebrate our favorite person. Brian Blessed! You're just like,
I must pull back a foot from my microphone.
Yeah, you didn't blow out
Yes.
any eardrums.
If Brian were here, he would say, Dudley Simpson is dead. But not to worry, Gordon's alive!
He would. Okay, so happy birthday, Daniel. Belated posthumous happy birthday to Dudley. And happy birthday to Brian. All right, that takes us into our news. And we actually have some Series 12 news tonight.
Yay.
Okay. On the 2nd of October, the Doctor Who film crew was spotted on Tyndall Street in Cardiff to film some scenes with the companions, Mandip Gill, Tossin Cole, and Bradley Walsh. It was only for some brief walking and talking scenes, and between them Bradley Walsh chatted with some students from nearby Loomis Student Living.
So imagine just being outside your dorm, and suddenly you come in from a night of, whatever, and there's a freaking film crew outside your freaking dorm doing something, and you realize they're filming Doctor Who.
It's not very low key, Bradley.
No, not low key at all. Hi there.
And then,
Chris Chibnall is going to punish you for that.
and then, after they go cut, he comes up and goes, "How you doing?" And answers some questions. That as long as he's allowed to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have to be low key. They just have to not be spilling the beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I don't
can't
think
say, "Oh
Chibnall
yeah, I
wants
can't
you
tell
to
you what
know
it's
that
for,"
Doctor
other
Who
than
is happening.
yeah, it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Can't tell you any details, yada yada yada, that kind of thing. Because Jodie Whittaker's done the same thing between takes when they were filming in front of that cathedral. She stopped to say hi and pose for some pictures. So they let you do that.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be, it's not like, okay, they're filming, throw the blanket over the stars.
Yeah, it's not like they're trying to hide the Iron Man suit or something.
Yeah. It's not Earthshock.
Yeah.
They may hide Nicholas Briggs when he's there, so we don't know that there's a monster in the episode.
All right. The next one.
Yep. Okay, Jodie Whittaker called in to the Radio 2 program Zoe Ball Breakfast Show from her trailer on the Doctor Who set. "I'm in my trailer in Cardiff and ready to go on set," she said. "It's such an exciting feeling. We're coming to the end of shooting and we're all really, really excited to show it off. There is so much happening, there really is. It's 9 wonderful months of running about and coming up against some very exciting monsters along the way. Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm in my trailer right now with Mandip Gill, who is overseeing this bit of information to make sure I do it properly. This means that, yes,
Don't spill the
we're
beans. Don't spill the
filming
beans.
the Series 12.
We're watching you.
So does that mean Mandip Gill is basically like Big Brother for frickin' Doctor Who?
Right? She's the
I must
what's his
report
name?
to the Balchinian. Yeah.
She just sit there in a Sauron costume, just I'm watching you.
she's the Anthony Mackie to Jodie's. Damn it! No, I forgot his name. I was just talking about him earlier. Spider-Man. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I have no clue really.
Wasn't it Anthony Mackie that was with Spider-Man at all the interviews to cover his mouth if he wanted to say anything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Benedict Cumberbatch too. It wasn't always Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, it was just the fact that Holland couldn't keep his freaking
Holland,
traps.
there we go. That's what I was
Yeah,
trying to say. But
both Holland and Ruffalo couldn't keep their mouths shut.
Oh yeah, Ruffalo was a big
Seemingly.
one.
So pretty much you'll probably never see them on Doctor Who.
If you do, you'll see them in the muzzles of their mouths. Are you ready to film? We're going to take it off now.
And finally, we have the biggest season 12 news.
Once again, the CVs are responsible for information we didn't have before. According to the CVs, director Lee Haven Jones is in charge of directing the Doctor Who special for this year. A Christmas special. This means we'll need to change our upcoming schedule. Again.
I think I've changed that thing a dozen times already.
What's another round of changes?
I'll bet they did this just to spite us.
Fortunately, it won't change our immediate schedule, but I have to make sure things balance out down the road.
Changes.
Come and face the...
And then, of course, they're going to announce that, like, they've delayed the main line of Doctor Who until March, and I'm just like, oh, God damn it! Now I've got to change everything.
Yeah, that's me. I'm kind of like, other than like the next month or two, I'm trying not to think too far ahead, because for all we know, we're gonna wake up one day and see a trailer Doctor Who dropping in 2 days.
They won't do that. They'll give us a month warning.
Yeah, I really doubt they'd only give us 2 days, because that's not enough time for anybody.
That's not enough time for them to build the hype missile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, last year it wasn't until September or so, wasn't it, that we found out that it was starting to air in October?
Yeah, they at least need a month to get that hype train steamed up.
They'll give you the approximate month, or the approximate season, and then a month ahead of time, they'll give you the start date. And then they'll just start building the hype. People will start showing up on shows, doing interviews.
As a matter of fact, the fact that this news is coming out lately might be a slow burn start to that hype.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I know at least with the past two showrunners, if they were finished wrapping, that usually meant that they had already started airing the first few episodes, didn't it? Like, didn't they film the last block around the time they were airing the first block?
Not always.
Yeah, I was gonna say not always. Usually they try to have at least a month or two in between.
Yeah, because sometimes it's all in post for a while.
Mm-hmm. And post needs enough time to make sure everything works right.
Mm-hmm. Because you got to send it to post, make sure stuff works. If not, reshoot so stuff will work in post. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pain in the ass. All right. That's the big season 12 news. We're getting a Christmas special. So we won't be taking Christmas off, damn it.
Look at New Year's.
We won't be able to spend it with ourselves, but we will probably be able to spend the time after New Year's being passed out.
Hooray!
All right. For this, we go to our merchandise category. And
merchandising.
The clothing
the
line.
real money is made. Clothing. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the new Lovarzi handbag. Now Lovarzi has announced the official 13th Doctor scarf. This scarf is based on Whittaker's t-shirt, so it is rainbow hued. The 13th Doctor scarf measures 25 by 175 centimeters, and it will be available to order on Friday, priced £24.99 from the official Lovarzi website. You will look fashionable and stylish. Ooh la la.
I don't think Whittaker's ever actually worn a scarf, has she?
Not that I'm aware of. Like they said, it's just based
resolution.
Oh, so maybe that's it. Yeah.
Maybe.
And then finally, we have a little bit of Big Finish news.
Yes. So the 8th Doctor joins with 4 different incarnations of the Master to fight the Ravenous in Ravenous 4. Jeffrey Beavers, Michelle Gomez, Derek Jacobi, and Eric Roberts join Paul McGann for 3 new stories. Whisper by Matt Fitton, Planet of Dust by Matt Fitton, Day of the Master Parts 1 and 2 by, not Matt Fitton, John Dorney. You can now buy Doctor Who Ravenous 4 as a collector's edition CD box set or download at the Big Finish website from $19.99. Previous releases, Doctor Who Ravenous 1 through 3, are each available at $39.99 for the collector's edition box set or $34.99 via download. And I think this officially means Eric Roberts may now have appeared on more Big Finish than the Big Finish exclusive master. I forget his name, but everyone was pissed off at him over something transphobic he said or did. I don't remember his name, though.
Shrug.
Well, he said it, and Big Finish may just be stepping away from him, and because we've got
Yeah.
Jeffrey Beavers,
I
Derek
know that.
Jacobi, and
Mhm.
Eric Roberts.
I know they had filmed more. I mean, they had recorded more material with him that hasn't been released yet, so they may just have decided to put the kibosh on it.
Yeah, they might have if he's basically.
Mm. If he's been a piece of work, yeah.
Oh. Let's see. Who do they say has played the Master? Because I don't remember who the Big Finish exclusive Master was.
He was in the first Doctor Adventures. That's the main thing I remember at the moment.
Because the main Big Finish voice actor is Jeffrey Beavers,
Mhm.
but he
But
played
that's
it.
not Big Finish exclusive, yeah.
Let's see. Other people who have voiced the Master: Nicholas Courtney, Alex McQueen,
Oh, I forgot
Vito.
about McQueen. Yeah, they haven't been using him much either.
Chris Finney, James Dreyfus, and David Bradley.
Dreyfus, that's the one I was thinking of.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, right after the Destination Wars. He posted some transphobic stuff.
Ah,
It is unclear whether he'll continue making audio stories or when his contract ends. Several stories were advertised after the fact.
They might have been advertised, but I assume they haven't been released.
Yeah. Let's
So
see.
those probably got kibosh, and that's why Big Finish is constantly in a cycle of hurrying up Doctor Who stuff, because they probably suddenly had to go, oh shit.
Yep. Well, it's like they had him, and then it's just like, then they're just like, hey, look, we can get Eric Roberts.
it does seem they haven't used McQueen since Roberts showed up either.
Meh.
Yeah. Okay. It might be because he's might be busy, or just the fact
Possibly,
that
yeah.
they're like, we've got, canonical masters.
True.
Yeah.
I do think Alex McQueen's Master stories have been better received than Eric Roberts so far. I don't know if this one will change that or not.
And the fact that Big Finish is still partying because they've freaking got Michelle Gomez.
Yeah, they're probably very happy about that.
Yeah.
We got one of
right.
the newest masters early.
Anyway, that is all the news we have this evening. There's not been any really major sci-fi news, I think, other than people talking about Joker, and I will talk about that a little later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
As we go to our Geek Talk section, which is going to be largely Thomas.
But it's also going to be a timed Thomas. How long do you want for this, Thomas, for each piece? 1 minute, 2 minutes?
We'll say 2 minutes for the games, maybe like increase it for the movies until you get to like maybe like 3 minutes for the old movies and like 5 for It Chapter 2.
That seems to be worthwhile.
Yeah, 5 minutes seems fair enough for the newest movie.
All right.
So first movie, or first game actually, I assume is...
Day of the Tentacle Remastered, which this version of it came out in 2016.
Yeah, I've been seeing the remasters. And started.
Yeah. I had not played this. It's so funny because I almost didn't play this because I was like, oh wait, it's the sequel to Maniac Mansion, and then I was like, oh wait, no, it's like, yeah, it's like it's loose enough that I was just like, fuck it, this is a game I can knock out in a day. So I did. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to these kinds of games, but I will admit I basically had to use a walkthrough from a certain point because I was like,
actually, that's not just a you thing. There are a lot of point clicks like this that do start to kind of run the gambit on how logical their expectations of you are. I needed to look up a walkthrough for the very end of Full Throttle because apparently you can't just run out of a teetering jet before it falls over and explodes. You need to hop on a motorcycle first, and then you can ride off it as it tips and explodes. for some reason.
Come on, Matt. Why didn't you know that?
I don't know. Maybe it was just logical to run out of it first, and it wouldn't actually teeter that badly until you actually got out of it. Just me.
But yeah, I do like how, even though this is, newer animation, like, it seems like it's clearly just like the animation has been redone most likely instead of just improved. But it still has a very like retro feel to it, rather than just going all out and making it very modern.
Yeah, they did it for Full Throttle as well.
I don't think there were all that many jokes that fell flat for me, so the original game is clearly aged very well. And yeah, I would just say people should give it a shot if you're interested. I will say it was so weird playing a point and click adventure on PS4 though. But regardless of where you get it, I'd say play it. Okay, next up, Untitled Goose Game.
Oh,
My
I've heard
God,
about
is
this one. Untitled Goose Game. I've been seeing this a bit, and it actually looks really fun.
I've seen. I'm assuming that's the origin of the memes and such.
The memes of the asshole goose. Yes. And go.
Yeah, like, this game is just fun. Like, I did need like some things that you have to do, because you're just basically a goose being an asshole and dealing with and stealing people's stuff or drag this to that, whatever. If all you're doing is like the bare minimum, you could probably again like knock this out in a day. I spread it out a bit, but yeah, it's like very quick.
I've been hearing people who have been beating it in like 2 hours or less.
Oh yeah, that's definitely possible. Like, I was taking my time with it, or I just kept like pausing it a lot. But yeah, like, it was very fun, very satisfying. And one thing that to just point out anything that maybe it was just because this is family friendly, but I do like the fact that the humans will chase the goose off, but they won't try to hit it. Like, the closest you get is there's a woman with a broom who will like shoo the goose away, but she's not gonna she's not coming at it ready to fucking bash its head in or anything.
Everyone knows if you hit a goose,
which was a nice touch.
Goose show up and shit on you.
Not to mention it'll spread its wings and hiss and come back at you anyway.
But yeah, like, I would definitely recommend like people give it a look. It is very cathartic and fun. Sorry, I'll just move on from there because there's not really much you can say because the gameplay is like very right. But you are playing as like a proper goose. Like, all you can really do is honk and like drag stuff around
and flap your wings a little bit.
And flap your wings a little bit. That's basically all you can do. So yeah, moving on to the movies. Rosemary's Baby, which I just kind of decided on a whim to give this a shot. And I kind of already knew where the ending was going, but I still am glad that I gave it a shot. I feel like I might have to give it like another go through now that I've seen it properly. But yeah, like, I feel like the only problem I had was that in some cases, like, the titular Rosemary just seems a bit like they're all treating her like a kid, which to a point, makes sense. But then a lot of what she's wearing seems very infantilized in that. And I mean, giving the director's Roman Polanski, that probably makes sense in hindsight. But that being said, I can separate this movie from the fact that asshole is associated with it. And the fact that Rosemary is like just she's not completely stupid. There are a few moments here and there where I'm like, okay, how have you not picked up on this yet? And I'm glad that the payoff of one of the characters, like, very early on, I'm like, okay, I don't like you anymore. And it's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to anyway, because they're in on this whole shit. And it is kind of funny because the people who did Hereditary, now I can see where people are coming from when people said that Hereditary is kind of like a modern take on this.
Mm.
Which is also funny because the people who did Hereditary did Midsummer, and Midsummer has been compared to The Wicker Man. So it's this very weird thing. It's like, okay, what the hell are they gonna do next? But yeah, there was a few more. I feel like there was a few bits here and there where I wasn't all that interested, and maybe I think it's just that this movie's been hyped so much that like finally seeing it is like, okay, let's see what all the fuss is about. So it probably didn't live up to the expectations that I'd set for myself. So I'll probably have to watch it a few more times to like see if I appreciate it more. But it's not a bad movie by any means. And I would say that people should give it a shot, but you know, it kind of depends on what you're into.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. I think that's about all I've got to say for that, so I'll move on.
All right.
The Others. This movie, I can tell you, I watched on a whim, and I specifically watched it because I was in the mood to watch something vaguely horror-ish, but I didn't really want to watch anything gory because I was eating, so I didn't want to potentially vomit. So just watching this movie was like, yeah, this'll do. And honestly, it's a pretty damn good movie. Like, I don't know really what I was expecting. Finally a gag from like one of the scary movies makes sense because I finally seen this and this, like one of them. I think it was like Scary Movie 3 has a parody of a scene in this. So that finally made sense. Must admit I was not expecting Christopher Eccleston to show up in this. He plays Nicole Kidman's character's husband for a brief bit in the movie, and it's like, oh shit, like I didn't know much about this movie aside from Nicole Kidman's in it. So seeing Christopher Eccleston was like, oh well, this will be interesting to talk about on a Doctor Who podcast then. And hell, I have another spot the bloody Game of Thrones actor because the woman who played Catelyn Stark is in this as well in a very small role. Nicole Kidman in this is great. The actress who plays like the lead housekeeping lady, whatever, I forget the exact job description she's given. She's also damn great. And honestly, they do it so well that the actual twist of this, because like at first I was thinking, oh, you're playing your hand a bit early, but then it turns out there's like a twist at the end, and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming because I was too preoccupied on what was going on. So they were actually able to distract me with the misdirect for me to not realize what was coming. Because like in hindsight is making this a movie that I feel like I'll probably watch again just so I can watch it with that knowledge. Because that'll like make a rewatch interesting. But yeah, I would definitely say people should check this out. Like, if you're not into a lot of Nicole Kidman stuff, I would say this is like worth watching for like her and like one of the other supporting female actresses alone. Like they carry this movie. And the kids aren't bad either. In this. But yeah. So moving on from that. The Death of Stalin. Which I swear I only watched because I'd watched a video on it, and the video on it just like, okay, this actually seems interesting, and then I realized the streaming service that I use to watch to watch New Who stuff had it on there, so I was like, well, fuck it, I've sprayed all this friggin' bug shit in my room, and I need to let my room air out now, so I'll just watch this for to buy the time in. Yeah, the movie is literally just kind of a dark comedic take on the fallout of the death of Stalin. So, and like, it is honestly, it is pretty damn funny. Like, holy crap. Um, I, it is one of those movies where it's funny because I actually kind of agree with the person I watched a video do about it, where rather than doing shitty Russian accents, because no one was gonna, they
No
obviously
one's gonna
didn't.
buy
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
think they hired, yeah, rather than hire people with shitty Russian accents, they just got them all to speak varying accents. So you've got Steve Buscemi in here and Jeffrey Tambor doing American accents, and then you've got a bunch of English actors doing various English accents, and specifically the guy who voices the guy who plays Stalin for a bit before he dies, has a Geordie accent, which is really funny. But like apparently, um, it's like been assumed that this might be a reference to the fact that he's from Georgia or whatever in Russia, like in the USSR, like whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, like that was really fun. And well, he came from a very working class background anyway, so him having that kind of working class accent would make sense.
Basically, how they'd use
Um,
Southern people or people with Southern accents for anime when they come from like Osaka.
yeah. It's just, yeah, I would say this is definitely worth a watch. The actors are all great. And the interesting thing is that this movie only aired once in Russia. Like, it only got screened once in Russia, and I'm pretty sure, from what I can recall of the video I watched about it, that place either got shut down or they got arrested for screening it. Even though the people who went to see it apparently were like, yeah, no, this isn't really all that offensive. I mean, it's specifically a dark comedic take on it, or whatever.
If you can't
Like
laugh at
the Russian
yourselves.
people who saw, yeah, like the Russian people who saw it weren't, all that peeved about it. But like Stalin is apparently just still a very sensitive topic and whatever. So, and Russian government is Russian government. So, but yeah, damn good
3.5 minutes,
movie.
by the way.
Yeah, a damn good movie. I suggest people go watch it. Okay, last one. It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2.
I have seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of very divisive thoughts on this, and I can kind of understand why, but I loved it. Like, I was just all for it. The movie's great. I I almost did go to a screening of it like ages ago, but the screening they did was late at night. It's bordering on 3 hours. I mean, if you have 20 minutes worth of ads in front of this movie, it's a 3 hour screening. So it basically was for me because I got saddled with 20 minutes worth of fucking ads or whatever beforehand. So it was, but at the same time, I feel like it's paced well enough that you don't really feel it. Like maybe you might in certain parts, but it kind of depends. If you enjoyed the first one, I feel like you'll enjoy this one. I will say, as a member of the LGBT plus community, them including the bit from the book, so this is technically a spoiler, them including the bit from the book where the gay bashing happens, I didn't mind because it's specifically framed as these people are fucked up
Yeah.
for bashing these people. Like, it's very explicitly,
It's very so it's
this
it's
is,
adding to the horribleness of the villains essentially.
yeah, like, these are shitty people who are beating this gay couple up. and more specifically, one of them. It's in the book, but and in that was happening in the 80s, and it's not as if the relevance ever went away of that. This still happens. While at the same time, while I didn't have a problem with it because they at least framed it properly, I could definitely see this being, this is like a giant trigger warning thing for people. It's like, if you didn't know this going in, that's the warning that you get, is just that's a thing and it happens in that movie, and if you've got a problem with that, fair enough. But if you've been a victim of that and you're I would rather not see this on screen, maybe wait until it's out on streaming and then just skip that bit. But yeah, because it's the opening, and hell, they humanize the gay characters first, because you actually get to know them a bit before it happens.
That just makes
and
it
all
more
that.
traumatic.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this movie. I came very close to crying near the end several times. They I just, hats off to them. This is very easily better than I've held off really properly comparing this to the 90s version with Tim Curry from TV. Beyond the fact that I don't really think they should be anyway, because one's a friggin' low budget TV adaptation and the other's a friggin' Hollywood vehicle. But, as far as they go, I would say this is better. There's actually a cameo from an actor in the 90s version, so that's fun.
If it's not Tim Curry, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
It isn't, but it is, as far as I can recall, it's one of the people who played the kids, one of the kids in the 90s version has a brief cameo.
Well, they were the better
in
actors
this.
anyways, outside of Tim Curry, so.
Yeah. I own the 90s version on DVD, but yeah, it's really only worth watching for Tim Curry, whereas I feel like both the kid actors and the adult actors in this are good enough that they can carry it and it works. And there are flaws, but it's one of those things where the emotional highs allow you to kind of give them a pass on some of that stuff. But yeah, I would definitely say people should give it a shot. If the runtime is a bit too much for you, or just too much for your bladder or whatever, which is fair enough, I would say just wait until it's on streaming or whatever, or Blu-ray, so you can just pause whenever you need to. But yeah, I would definitely say it's worth a shot.
All right, and that was the last one for you?
Yep.
And you ended it just in time for the 5-minute mark. All right, so that takes us to Randy with Joker.
Okay, so as Matt mentioned, on Sunday, Aaron and I managed to get to the theater and watch Joker, the new movie starring Joaquin Phoenix as the DC villain, or the origin of the DC villain, we should actually say. And afterwards, I had to sit down and think about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to think about this, and I had to break it down into several categories and decide whether it was good or not. The first category is it a good movie? Yeah. The director, Todd Phillips, seems to be a little bit inspired by Martin Scorsese, in particular his movie, The King of Comedy.
Yes, I believe he has actually mentioned that.
Phillips has gone through and really given this a 70s-esque feeling, even to the point that Warner Brothers at the opening uses its 70s logo, the -- logo, rather than the WB.
Wow.
Although
Mm-hmm.
apparently, based on the movie previews, it's set in 1981.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the 80s, so it's early 80s.
That's still late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's still that same
So you,
era.
so you
Warner
get that, a
Brothers
little bit
used
of that vibe,
logo.
yeah.
Warner Brothers used that logo until 1984.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Gremlins that first brought back the WB shield.
Wouldn't be
Anyway.
surprised. Anyway.
It still has that feel, that late 70s, early 80s feel throughout the movie. The technology, Cars, that kind of thing, all seem to be inspired by that era. Originally, Scorsese was attached to be a producer, but later backed down. Apparently, because he doesn't like comic book movies. The next
No one's
question.
perfect.
The next question I had to ask: is it a good Joker movie? And that leads me to the question: is Joaquin Phoenix Joker a good Joker? He's not the best, but he's certainly no Jared Leto.
I mean, you'd have to fuck up pretty bad to be
To be worse
on
than
that
Jared Leto. Yes, that's very
Yeah.
true. He is, I think, in my opinion, on par with Heath Ledger, who, as you know, I am not fond of Heath Ledger's Joker, but he's on par with, but he's different. Actually, he might be a little bit above Heath Ledger in my book, because this is basically a proto-Joker, an early Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that he is lacking of the typical Joker is stuff he could gain over time.
Very true.
What he is basically lacking is the Joker's sense of showmanship and confidence. You see little bits and pieces of it near the end, but you don't really have a complete, the voice is still lacking the confidence the Joker has, and that kind of thing. So he's not there, but he could be. Thus said, this origin of the Joker is loosely based on the story told in The Killing Joke of a not very talented comedian who has a series of bad luck incidents leading to his mental downfall into the homicidal Joker. And that's done fairly well. The character Arthur Fleck suffers from an illness called pseudobulbar effect, which basically makes the character break into fits of laughter at random times. Or, whenever he's feeling any intense emotion, it comes out as laughter.
So it's a cousin of Tourette's.
Kind of, yeah. And that is a major portion. Dealing with that is a major issue. He also has several other issues, which you kind of find out why, and I'm not going to tell you because that would be spoiler.
Spoilers.
But seeing that slide down as the world around him both fails him and deliberately hurts him into becoming this monster it works well. The next question I ask: is this a good Batman movie? And by that, I don't mean, is this a good portion of like the DCEU, because it's not. No, but where it fits into Batman's theme. And the answer to that is no. There are scenes involving the Waynes. And I will spoiler a little bit and mention the fact that there is an actual scene where you see the infamous Wayne shooting, but it really feels sandwiched in and unnecessary.
Yeah, it feels, from what I've been hearing, it does sound like it's a little more indirect than one would want.
Yeah, it just feels like it's tacked on. Like they added it at the last minute to go, yes, this is a Batman movie.
It's needlessly farther in the background than you would want something that important to be.
I wonder who's been shot in more movies, the Waynes or Uncle Ben?
Waynes.
Probably the Waynes.
Probably the Waynes.
Yeah, by virtue now it'd be the Waynes.
I think Uncle Ben's only been shot twice.
Furthermore, the portrayal of the Waynes as you see them is nothing like any other Batman background that we have on Thomas and Martha Wayne. Thomas Wayne is shown as basically a political conservative, more concerned with reputation and trying to be a spokesman for the rich than caring for the people of Gotham, which is completely unlike the Thomas Wayne we have seen in other things, who worked with people like Dr. Leslie Tompkins helping the poor in Crime Alley. It's a weird it's kind of a weird, like, mirrorverse Thomas Wayne. and that makes it puts the entire putting it in the Batman mythos a little weird for me.
Actually, I have an answer for that, but I would actually wait and see if they do a sequel first before I have my answer for that.
That's unknown at this point.
Yeah, it's an unknown, but it's actually been something that's been officially put out there as a possibility.
No, it's been originally this was meant as a one shot. It was.
But people who are in charge have said, hey, if this does well and people are interested to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Sure
Apparently, Joaquin Phoenix is.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's really tempting to come back, but another thing that bothers it is the architecture of Gotham City is modern real. You take a look at things like there's Arkham's Asylum in this, only it's called Arkham State.
Penitentiary?
No, it's the more politically correct term. Arkham State, like institution or something like
institute.
that.
Okay.
Arkham State Hospital, yeah. So you don't get the gothic Arkham feel.
More modern.
Yeah, it's all concrete and basic like Arial text logo on a wall. rather than what you got. And the buildings all look 70s, early 80s. There's a few things, like the apartment that Arthur lives in with his mother. The building on the outside have these kind of gothic archways, which look really cool in some rain scenes. Also, unlike Gotham, you'd expect a lot of the scenes happen during the daytime. Which
I didn't even know there was a daytime in Gotham.
That's kind of the issue. Blue skies and Gotham do not mix. But it made it feel like, it was actually New York City and the words Gotham were just tacked on. Heck, you learn in the first 5 minutes of the movie that they're in the middle of a trash strike.
Mm-hmm.
This sound familiar?
Which was based on ones in New York City, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So only in the fact that when it tries to fit itself into the Batman mythos does this movie fail. Other than that, I enjoyed myself. It was a bit freaky. Do not take your kids to see this because there's a bit of the
it's
old.
It's a rated R movie, so if you're taking your kids to this, you should be slapped anyway.
I watched as the lights went up and a family went by with a 12-year-old kid in it. I'm like, Jesus, guys, what were you thinking?
What's the difference between R and NC-17? You can bring kids to R movies as long as they have parental supervision.
Yeah. But there's some scenes in this where they get into a bit of the old ultra violence. Where the Joker, there's a scene in the subway where the Joker snaps, shoots 2 people, and then hunts down and kills the third. That were basically being assholes to him. And still, I liked it. Like I said, I think it would have a hard time trying to fit into a Batman mythos, just because of how ill sandwiched it is. But as a standalone movie, I think it's pretty good.
I think there's ways to get it to be sandwiched in, but again, I would wait to see how they decide to interpret
Matt,
this.
have you seen this movie?
No, but I've been given spoilers.
Then shut up.
I'm
trying to do my conclusion. Did I like it? Yes. I think it would have some trouble if they try to make this the new DCEU, which is considering how badly the old one's falling apart. I think this would be a hard time being a starting movie for the DCEU, but for a new EU, I should say. But do I your mileage may vary, so I would suggest seeing it yourself and making your own decision. If you are concerned with things like, if you're triggered by things like extreme mental illness or sudden bouts of extreme violence, I would suggest staying away from this. Any questions before we move on?
I will ask because it was an issue, especially after the first trailer, and I think I know your answer, but just for the sake of the internet, does this give you, is there a character that you're intended to root for in any way as the hero of this movie?
Technically speaking, the Joker is the protagonist. because he's basically living in a crapsack world. I mean, within the first 15 minutes of the movie, he's working as a sign twirler in a clown costume outside a store that's going out of business. And he's basically, a bunch of kids steal his sign. And after he chases them to an alley, they basically hit him over the head with the sign and then beat the shit out of him. It's that kind of world. And then later on, his boss charges him for the loss of the sign. This is literally, you get, if with The Killing Joke, it was just one bad day. This isn't just one bad day. It's one bad life. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong with him. Social services cuts him off because they had budget cuts. He tries to do stand-up, and it's apparently so bad he's made fun of on a talk show. It's, police talk to his mother after the subway incident, and it causes her to go into a stroke, and then he finds out some other things, which I really don't want to talk about because that's spoiler territory. But it's just this constant, can't get a break level of issues, and it's all so fucked up that it just, he eventually, hits his snapping point. So yes, he's the protagonist, he's the hero, and everybody else in the movie is assholes. But then, it's kind of like, a Joker origin story. So it's just basically, is it true or not? You never know with the Joker.
Yeah.
If he has to choose, it'll be multiple choice.
Exactly.
And I kind of choose to, if I'm going to acknowledge this as a movie, I kind of fit it into the 3 Joker theory. That this isn't the gangster Joker, this is the mentally ill version of the Joker.
Yeah, well, I don't like the 3 Joker theory, so.
Yeah, I don't much care for it either.
Because
the Joker's Joker, he's just whatever version of himself, depending on what the time desires.
That and the fact that, really, the problem with things like Gangster Joker is it's so far
away from the actual character, yeah.
Yeah, it's so far divulged from the comic book version. And this one tries. I mean, there are some differences. Obviously, the clown aspect of it has been played upwards because he basically worked as a party clown. And eventually his whole identity gets stripped away, so all he has left is the clown. And that becomes the Joker. Because, this one, he even has like the blue diamonds on his eyes, which, you don't usually see in the Joker.
At least not very often.
Yeah.
But then again, you could see that.
That's one reason I was kind of iffy about this movie, because I was looking at it, I was like, is that going to turn into Joker makeup over time?
Well, that's the thing too, is that in most cases the Joker makeup isn't makeup.
Yeah.
It's the result of his skin being acid bleached permanently.
Yeah, it's a result of whatever happened to him, physically scarring him permanently.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is just him in makeup, again, this is, like I said, kind of a proto-Joker. So you can think that the next movie he would be,
The next movie might legit be what happens to him to cause the actual permanent scarring, and he goes even further.
But, he doesn't have the humor, but he sees the humor in things, which is a lot better than Heath Ledger or Jared Leto's Joker. There's like at the very end of the movie, he's talking to somebody and you hear him laughing, and it's like some person goes, "What?" And he's like, "You wouldn't." But so yeah, he's understanding that the world is a joke. He's just not ready to tell the world about the joke.
Yeah, I basically like until DC say otherwise, I'm basically treating this as like an Elseworld thing.
It is kind of an Elseworlds thing at the
It is
moment.
possibly going to be staying
Yeah.
that way. It really
for
depends
that-
on how things go.
For that
Of
matter,
course.
the director has confirmed that there's no chance that this is going to cross over with the upcoming
Again, that's what they
Rob
originally
Pattinson
said.
Batman
Yeah.
movies.
That's what
Well,
they
no,
were.
It'd be
pretty sure
kind of
that was-
hard to anyway, unless you
Right.
make it like
Well,
the
it's not
Joker
going
is
to cross
fucking
over to the
immortal.
current stuff, yeah.
My understanding is that's also what they said after it came out, because they hadn't announced the new Batman movies when this was announced.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I know, but it's quite possible that as they watch the fan results to Joaquin Phoenix and realize that the fan base likes him better than Jared Leto.
That they might change things.
Yeah,
Well, it's not hard to find someone they like better than Jared Leto.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, his Joker was just terrible.
His Joker had no sense of humor.
It wasn't a Joker
Yeah,
He was an internet troll.
at best.
and that was my thought about Heath Ledger's Joker too. Is it was almost a better Zaz than a Joker.
Oh god,
That's
we're gonna get a shit Saz again too.
Because because he's freaking scary. But there was only a couple of scenes where he was, actually funny or slightly goofy. The scene where he shows up in Two-Face's hospital room being in a nurse's outfit being one of those moments. And the whole thing with the freaking detonator afterwards. Those felt like the Joker. The rest
Slam
of
the
the
button,
movie,
slam the
he
button,
was
finally goes
basically
off.
that.
Ah.
Yeah.
And
The rest
to be
of the
fair,
movie-
it's also like the Nolan verse is such a specific thing that's not really trying to be like accurate representations of these characters. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, fair enough, we'll let it slide for the Nolan verse stuff. But if you're trying to be more comic book inspired, then like
I would like to
know
when Bane
go became in.
Sean Connery with a
Anyway,
face
we're going to stop talking about
Yeah.
the Joker now and move on because we've got two things and we've got to go through our stuff twice.
Yep. So let's get going.
So, first off would be the new recreation of Mission to the Unknown, which we talked about in our news segment last week. I believe Thomas voted to do the summary.
Is that a 1-minute challenge?
Yes.
Oh god, no. I can
Mission
guarantee you I probably won't get it done in a minute, but I will try
Doctor
to
Who
be as
Mission to
quick
the
as possible.
Unknown.
I can do it in a minute, but
I
I've
can
already
do it in
done
1 minute.
6 summaries this
It's
this
a
this
one
season.
20-minute episode.
What's that?
I said it's a 20-minute episode.
Yes.
It shouldn't be too hard to do. I'm trying to actually find footage from the actual thing here. I think this is that's the original again. Wow, I'm trying to get footage or images from the recreation, and it's actually difficult.
Yeah, that's because it came out today. It is literally about 12 hours old right now.
I guess I'll just settle with. Yeah, I'll settle with this. This isn't a proper cover either. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, a man we find out is Jeff wakes up and just seems in a trance and he goes off somewhere. Then we find two men named Corey and Gordon who are working on a spaceship that they've landed and they need to fix it up for some reason. Jeff shows up and tries to kill Gordon, but Corey kills him instead, revealing that he's part of that he's a space security agent. Corey enlists help from Gordon and clarifies he's investigating the possibility of Dalek activity in the system, providing evidence in the form of a thorn from a Varga plant, which are only native to the Daleks' home planet Skaro, also mentioning that someone pricked by one will eventually turn into a Varga, which we see happen to Jeff. We get a brief glimpse of the Daleks to talk about their plans and that they know that the humans are there and ordering them to be destroyed. Gordon and Gory notice the Varga plants closing in on them as Gordon attempts to set up a rocket that can send a distress signal into orbit, hoping that transmission will be picked up and they'll be rescued. Having to leave the rocket after they realize they're no longer safe there, with the Daleks destroying it once they're gone, although Gordon accidentally pricks himself on a Varga thorn and is later killed by Corey as a result. The Daleks and the representatives of the other galaxies that they're aligned with finally meet up to discuss things. One of them complains about the presence of the humans, and the Dalek Supreme assures them that they'll be dealt with. When after Corey kills Gordon, he tries to record the message to send it off, but before he can send it off, the Daleks kill him, and we cut back to the Daleks and their allies all shouting about their victory.
All right.
All right, a minute 50.
Well, under 2 minutes at least.
All right. So, what did you like about this, Thomas?
Honestly, the attention to detail, but I guess I'll be specific just because, like, that's pretty broad. And I will say the acting. The acting is so, like, it at first it didn't click, but then I was like, my god, even their specific accents sound like something out of 60s Doctor Who. It's, like, so bizarre.
All right.
Oh.
Matt?
Trying to think. This one specific thing. I like the fact that they tried their best to recreate 1960s sets, which parts of it did work, and then there's parts of it like when you see the floor where you're just like, nope. That's what the old film grain hid on us back in the day. But but there's still a lot of background sets that otherwise work pretty well for themselves. Just don't look at the floor.
Bill?
So this is applies to the original, but was definitely harder to tell until it was recreated. But just I love how ominous they make the arrival of the Daleks and setting up for Master Plan, especially after the previous Dalek story had been relatively comedic. So they're kind of really setting up for the Daleks to bring it home next episode, and of course for the never happened Dalek show that Terry Nation was trying to pitch, but that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
Tim?
I liked the sets in general, except the meeting room with the Daleks and all the aliens. That was kind of bare and sparse.
It wasn't originally too.
Yeah,
That's what you get with the faithful recreation.
Especially I liked the look of the Varga. They did a nice job recreating that, especially.
All right. So, what I really liked about it is the fact that this, unlike most Doctor Who episodes, this did not have a happy ending. You're watching your protagonist, Mark Corey, as he's trying desperately to warn people, and in the end, he fails. Yeah. So, it's kind of a downer. It's, a prologue, so that would be, you eventually get the happy ending at the end of Master Plan. But still, for a one-shot story, it's kind of a downer ending, and it's like, wow, you don't really see that in Doctor Who often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost as if they took advantage of the fact that they didn't have the main cast involved, that they could get away with it.
Yeah, they could get away with murdering all our heroes today.
I kind of
imagine it's also the fact that
that happened today.
It's also the fact that the main cast wasn't involved is how we managed to get this recreation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So, what did you dislike about this? Thomas, you're first.
God, that's a lot harder to actually think of, to be honest. I guess I'll just be nitpicky then, because I can't really think of anything. And I'll just go, it's so weird hearing Nicholas Briggs' Dalek voices
Dang
in
it.
60s Doctor Who.
Yes, it is.
Although he did,
and I don't understand.
It's too modern.
I don't understand why it was necessary. Is there any reason they couldn't remaster the original Dalek voice audio from the original episode, clean it up,
or just do new Dalek voices
that's
with
true. You don't need to match
modulator.
lip flaps.
What's that?
You don't need to match.
Yeah, there's no lip syncing or anything.
Yeah, right.
So I could not see why they couldn't use the original Dalek voices.
Yeah.
Because
at the very least, like, you would think they would try to make them sound like 60s Daleks.
But no, it's just Nick Briggs doing his Dalek voice, which
I understand it's really popular and he's really good at it, but I would have preferred like multiple guys doing it like the old days.
I would have preferred the original audio just taken because I've heard the original.
I remember Daleks back then being really touch and go as to whether or not how good they were at it, because
Yes,
sometimes they
but
could
I have
oversit their
heard
lines.
the original audio for this, and they were decent. Because I've seen animated reconstructions of Mission to the Unknown before, where they took the original audio and put cartoons to it, like the Macra Terror.
In a way, I also feel like they're misdirected because I feel like they might have had some of the original Dalek audio in the trailer for this, because it felt like at least one of the Daleks that you hear, I don't think sounded like Nick Briggs. So that was like, wait, what? What happened to that audio?
Yeah, that was my major issue, was Nick Briggs' voice. All right, Matt, what else did you what about you? What did you dislike? I know, Thomas stole yours.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of I think I had another one. I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh gosh. I have to say some of the costumes were a little meh too, but I assume that's just because it's the age and we have. Actually, that's the other thing. The video quality was too good.
Yeah, I do wish they had put like a grainy pass.
They need some sort of grain, some sort of like just like make this feel properly aged, because it ruins a lot of the visuals too.
Or just like just intentionally shot at like 360p or something.
And like I was saying before we started streaming, it kind of makes it things that are easy to forgive when you see that they're clearly in 1960s quality become harder to forgive when it looks like a modern production.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a guy in a wetsuit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the costumes were all the original costumes.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all
they were at least being specific about that, and they wanted to recreate it. But
not
the
one of the villain costumes would fly.
the film
today.
lacking the
All
actual
of
proper
all of
aged
the
look,
costumes.
it really does ruin the visuals.
Mm.
It's a little too clean. I want this shot like it's the freaking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I want all that film grain. I want to feel the grain of the film.
Yeah, you really do. Because that would have been a lot more forgiving on certain things. How about you, Bill?
So kind of along the same line of nitpicks, I'm going to go with the guy who did most of the talking in that conference room, because he was just like, it was overacting to the 1000th degree. And
well, so it's the original, so.
And yeah, I know it's 60s, and like I said, it's a nitpick, but at the same time, I couldn't help but cringe every time he talked, especially seeing it with the modern footage.
Yeah. I mean, I gave it a bit of a pass just because, like, as far as, they were just getting whoever would be involved. They weren't, like, necessarily getting, like, TV actors or anything. This was, like, a bunch of uni students and that.
Well, no, I have no doubt that they were properly recreating the original acting. They almost definitely were. But it's just still a little cringeworthy looking at it now.
These were drama students. But, so this was their chosen field.
Yeah.
Tim, how about you?
I was kind of disappointed in the distinct lack of the Doctor in this thing. Like, I know that they probably couldn't get either William Hartnell or
you didn't know what this episode was before we saw the recreation?
What?
Did you not know what this episode was before we watched the new version? Because I'm kind of confused now. Because I've always known that Mission to the Unknown had no Doctor in it.
Yeah. This whole episode came about because Verity Lambert wanted to give the cast an extra week's holiday.
Okay. Well, still, like, they could have had a still photo of him in the background, like
Mm.
saying, "Oh, by the way, don't stay away from that guy. He'll mess up our plans."
So this was actually made about the same time as Galaxy 4, just not in the same location. So that I don't know if you guys had the beginning bit where they're where you hear Hartnell's voice going, "I wonder what's happening on that planet," which I think was the end of Galaxy 4.
Can't remember.
Okay. Because when I watched it, there was a bunch of stuff in front of it. Because I watched like right after it came out. Anyway.
I just remember the guy in the chair doing an introduction. That's what I remember for the start of it.
Okay. Yeah, I got that too, but it was a little further in. Anyway. What I didn't like about this were the actual Dalek props. Because I could tell that those were very cheaply done.
Like the originals.
Yeah.
Yes, but unlike the originals were actually well enough done because the freaking eye stalk had a freaking camera iris in it. These did not.
I think some of the ones by this point, Randy, didn't have that anymore. A few of
Yeah.
the really early ones did.
I
But a lot
know,
of
but
those
the
broke.
other issue was the fact that the light bulbs on top of the Dalek models were different. Some looked like the era, and some looked like they were from the Third Doctor era. So
I was gonna say, it almost, to me, the design of like one or two of them almost looked like New Who Daleks, and I was like, wait, what?
they weren't quite New Who Daleks, but I think they were like Third Doctor, Fourth Doctor era Daleks that got repainted. Because the way you can tell are the lights on the top of the dome. And you can kind of see an evolution on those. Because at first they were just freaking light bulbs that got screwed in, and then they got the freaking giant covers, and then they got the smaller covers, and those covers kept getting smaller. And some of them had the ones that were just a little bit of a bump out, and then some of them were the ones that looked like they were freaking stick over covers. So I'm like, wait a minute. Usually when there was a Dalek production, they all had the same lights on top.
That also changed in the 60s because they started borrowing the movie ones, but yeah.
Yeah, the movie ones, though, had this huge thing on there. They came out like they were freaking ears.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I didn't see any of those.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those in this either.
I just posted in the chat the original ones versus the new ones.
Yeah, there's a bit of a difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the blue that you see in those was something that didn't come about until the Third Doctor era.
The baby blue on the Daleks? I think that was actually part of the original plans of them.
The blue behind the eye stalk?
Yeah.
I don't believe so, but
I'm pretty sure they've been around for a while on that.
I mean, in the original, it looks like there's something there, unless it's it looks
yeah,
like
but
the same
if I remember, those things were clear or white. They were cloudy.
That's really hard to tell because those were black and white too. So.
Yes, I know, but I've seen color photographs of those from the era, and they were just cloudy white kind of things. And it wasn't until you started seeing the Third Doctor modeling with them that they got the blue. You know, when color mattered. But anyway, it's just that they felt like they were not era-specific Daleks bothered me. That and, of course, Nick Briggs' voice. All right, favorite scene, and let's do this quickly because we still got a whole other thing to do. Thomas.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say that the scene where Corey is trying to get the send the distress signal, but isn't able to because they kill him.
Okay. Corey's death scene. Got it.
Yeah.
Matt.
That was my backup. I'm gonna go with the scene where the first guy that gets shot stands up and suddenly becomes one of the plants.
Mhm.
All right.
Hmm.
That
Bill.
was actually a nice effect.
I'm gonna go with the Friday the 13th beginning-esque scene. Even though it was exposition, it was just really set the tone for the episode.
Tim.
The scene where Corey has to kill his friend at the end from turning into a Varga is just so
Varga.
understated.
All right. Mine is where they see the alien ship, and they're just like, "Oh, geez, that's not one of ours," you know.
Hmm.
I
That's
thought
another
that.
one
I
from
thought.
beyond
I thought.
our system. Yeah.
I thought that was the lighting on that was just well done.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
All right. What about least favorite scene, Thomas?
Oh God. I'm just gonna pass because I can't think of one.
All right, Matt.
Clunky dialogue in empty room is clunky.
Where he's basically laying it down to the other guy.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
All
no,
right.
not the two humans, with the aliens.
Oh, the aliens. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bill.
I'm gonna go with the scene where they're going through the planets of the solar system, and they use the moon instead of Earth, and I almost expected Sailor Moon music to start playing.
Well, they mentioned the moon bases, which technically there should be because they dealt with the Cybermen at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But
All right.
moon bases are not a more major planet than the Earth.
Tim.
The scene where all the aliens and creatures are going victory, victory, victory. Like, come on, sound more enthusiastic about that.
Yeah, mine is the scene where the alien is bitching about the security breach on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So summary, quick. Thomas. Make it fast.
This is a very faithful recreation as far as I can tell, and like it is. If it was possible to do more things like this, I would be up for it. But damn, the attention to detail in this is pretty damn great. I think people should check it out.
All right, Matt.
I will agree with the attention to detail. I would still add some sort of filters and stuff to help the feeling along, but otherwise, this is a pretty standout, nicely done piece of work.
All right, Bill.
I love the idea of this episode in the first place, and I do love how they recreated it. I agree that a visual filter would have been nice, but I still think it was a nice recreation overall and helped improve the ability to watch the episode.
Okay,
Mhm.
Tim.
I thought that was a pretty cool episode and a good effort by the people who made it. They all have to say.
All right. So yeah, I think this is a great recreation, very faithful to the original. Like the others, I do agree that a grainy pass on it would be nice before sticking it on a DVD with an animated recreation of the Daleks' master plan.
Yeah.
Hmm.
As kind of the prologue, the episode 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get ratings for this, and you are rating both it as the story of the original and the recreation, just not separate ratings, just as one combined rating. Thomas.
Ooh. You know what? I actually enjoyed this so much that I'm actually going to give it a 4.5.
0.5.
Just like that little bit that could have pushed it up to a 5, so it gets a bit of a knockback.
All right, Matt.
I'm with Thomas. It just needs a slight tweak or two, and you've got a 5.
Bill.
4.5.
Ooh.
Tim.
Keep the trend.
I'm drumming the microphone.
4.5.
Randy gonna say.
And I am going to say the exact same thing. You put a grainy filter on this, you've got perfection.
Woo.
4.5, which of course averages to a 4.5.
Your first
not
outing is a
even gonna-
4.5. Do better. Do
All
it a little
right.
better next time. You got it.
One down, one to go. We are now back to summary
Yes. Okay.
for the big one, the Macra Terror.
All right. tell me
Macra
when.
Terror. Got that going. All right. Ready, Bill?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. As the TARDIS crew prepares to exit the TARDIS in their new location, they use the time scanner instead of the regular scanner, and they happen to see claws on it. They exit a little wary and end up capturing a random guy before finding out that they're actually helping the Gestapo capture him. They're brought to HQ of this location, and they learn how this is a colony where everybody works happily and is always happy to be working, which is led by a figure called the Pilot and a Wizard of Oz guy named Control, where Polly seems to be very enthused by this and doesn't see anything wrong, but I think the Doctor sees otherwise. The Doctor keeps following up with the man that they captured, whose name is Medoc, and has been accused of seeing things, yet seems to have seen the same creatures that the TARDIS crew saw in the time scanner. While talking to Medoc, the Doctor gets caught outside after curfew, causing Medoc to be sent for re-education and the TARDIS crew to be scheduled for sleep hypnosis. The Doctor stops this, but not before Ben has been fully brainwashed. In the conflict that results from the brainwashed Ben turning on the TARDIS crew, Polly ends up being attacked by a crab person whom Medoc has referred to as the Macra. This results in an argument with the pilot and a demand to see the real person behind Control. In what can only be described as Control completely botching the whole thing, they are shown a terrified old man being mauled by claws before the Doctor, Polly, and Jamie are sentenced to hard labor in a death camp along with Medoc. The Doctor is assigned to be their supervisor, which gives him the opportunity to goof off with mathematics and learn about the gas that they are mining. In the process, Jamie escapes into a forbidden shaft, and Control demands gas to be pumped into that shaft, which confirms to the Doctor that there are more Macra living there, and he turns off the gas. The Doctor convinces the pilot to come see the Macra once they confirm that they're there, causing Control to declare the captain of the guard to be in charge. The Doctor manages to use his control of the gas pipes to kill off the Macra, causing the humans of the colony to laud him as a hero, which the Doctor revels in until he hears a rumor that he's been declared to be the new pilot, causing the Doctor to decide to immediately fuck off for the next episode.
All right. Wow, you got that in about 2 minutes, 25 seconds.
That just goes to show you, Thomas. He just covered 4 episodes in about 30 seconds longer than you did.
I could have mentioned the captain of the guard a little earlier, but
All right,
There's a few little things that could have been mentioned earlier, but it didn't need to be.
All right, so what do we like about this serial? Thomas. We lose Thomas?
He's muted. I don't know. Oh, he said BRB.
Oh,
Okay. All
I
right,
guess it goes to me then.
Yeah, we'll come back to him. So, Matt.
All right. So I'm gonna say that I enjoyed the extra effort put into the facial animations. That's probably one of the few things we were kind of like about some of the previous ones, and they really corrected it on this one.
Yeah. It's almost anime-esque.
Almost.
Did this?
That's actually a good question. Yeah, who did this? Because if it's one of the old ones, then they definitely learned the lessons.
I'm wondering if it's let's see.
Macra Terror animation.
Yeah, I can't actually see who did this. Because it's released by BBC Studios, so.
Silver Coming Animation Macra Terror.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see. It was animated on Toon Boom, Harmony animation software, but I can't see the company. It looks like it might have been done in-house.
That's a maybe. Yeah, I'm not seeing like any other company making mentions, so this might be an in-house BBC. That's unusual for them, but good on them. Like that they took some of the lessons.
Mm-hmm. It's very well done. It's like anime inspired. I wondered if it was the guy that did the Doctor Who anime on YouTube.
Oh,
But
maybe because they hired him, didn't they?
yeah, I thought they did. So that might be
So
it.
very well might be his influence on it. Yeah.
Either way, it's really good. So, all right, Bill, what about you? What did you like?
I liked the mystery aspect of it when the doctor is like sneaking around and talking to Medoc and trying to figure out what's going on. I was a fan of that part. Especially the way you could like follow what's going on the doctor's face, and I'm hoping that was replicating actual acting.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
pretty-
it was or was supposed
Mhm.
to.
Thing is, I thought he was kind of a bit of a dick on that because he wouldn't tell his companions what he was doing.
Hmm.
Depends upon the moment.
It's funny you say
So-
that because I was talking to somebody today who said they weren't a fan of Troughton's doctor because they thought he was too much of a dick, and I hadn't heard that take before.
Well, he was a bit of a
he-
dick.
I think that he suffered a lot of moments where he had to keep things to his chest because if he let it out too soon to his companions, it could foobar things.
That's
It's been-
ironic.
Didn't quite feel like one of those moments, though.
I always thought Patrick Troughton was the least dickish doctor.
Yeah, when he
No,
knew it was
that
time,
one-
he was there with all the info.
No, the least dickish doctor was Peter Davids.
Yeah, that's true. He's
All the
just
other-
a sweet young chap with a cricket bat.
And the king of the dick doctors is Colin Baker.
Oh yeah.
Tom could give him a run for his money sometimes, though.
Not as bad as Colin, though.
Tom gave tough love. Colin was just irreprehensible asshole sometimes.
All right, So,
Here,
Thomas.
Thomas.
gonna go back to you.
Mhm.
What did you like about the episode overall? Or the serial?
God, I feel like I had something, but I'm not. I'm trying to remember. I'll say that I feel like I've seen looks of what the original Macra looked like. So even though it's already probably been taken, I'm just gonna go with that, like the redesign for the animated recreation.
Actually, that hasn't
of
been
the
taken. So yeah, that was gonna be
Macra.
mine.
Oh, there you go.
Yoink.
We mentioned animation quality, but we didn't mention the Macra in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arc's thing was facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the new Macra look fuck ton better than the old one.
One of the benefits of an animated recreation, really.
Of an animated recreation, yep.
We now have 20 times the budget with only half the animation.
Tim,
I just love the sound design in this episode. Dude, like the sound effects and the music.
I'll
Just
give
like
you the
the
sound
rhythm.
effects. Let me have the music,
Okay.
because that freaking the party tune is still in my head.
The party
it just
march.
fit,
Yes, the
it just
party march.
fits the storyline so well, I think. Really
Yeah, they
syncs
had
up.
such weird noises that actually worked perfectly for these weird, like, giant crabs, which is essentially what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you make for a monster sound for crabs? Okay, I guess that works.
Crab people.
Outside of
crab-
that.
yeah. But yeah, it's really kind of the sound effects are good, and like I said, the music was good. Really appropriate for where it was too. Because it'd be low at some point, and then it'd get the big stings, and it just worked well. And then, of course, the ambient music. God, could you imagine the guy that had to write all those freaking mind control jingles?
He must have been having a field day mild panic.
Mhm.
That or it was just the right amount of, oh gosh, I need something new to try out anyways.
And then the doctor insults him.
Yeah, did you hear that rhyme? God, he should be the one sent down here. Fuck you, Patrick. Yeah,
I wonder if that was an ad lib.
I'm wondering if it was.
I mean, apparently him and Fraser Hines were notorious for ad-libbing like that, so it wouldn't surprise me.
All right, and there's that an ad cut. Fuck you, Patrick.
I heard that, Patrick. You hear the voice, Mike.
Mm.
And you just see him smile from ear to ear as he now notices that the musician is on set.
So,
Mm.
what we disliked about it, Thomas?
Let's see. I don't know. It's kind of hard to think of something that I outright. Oh God, let's see. I guess just it's not like the whole thing, but maybe, and this is subjective, but I feel like in some parts it drags just a bit. Like, it's not like dragging throughout the whole thing, but there are kind of points where I'm like, okay, can we move on, please? Because it's just like bits where, yeah, I don't know, just it drags a bit, and I kind of lose concentration on it. And like, as someone who is very easily distracted, there were parts in this here and there, like little bits where I was just like, okay, can we get to the next point so I can
Get on with
be paying
it.
attention?
Yes, get on with it.
Now imagine if they did with this story like they did with a lot of others and made it a 6-parter without adding any actual plot.
No.
Oh,
God.
kill me.
All right, Matt, how about you? Anything you disliked about the serial?
I will say that it wasn't all the time, but every once in a while I would notice there's like a particular like movement loop or something that they would use, and for whatever reason the animation would just fall apart. Thankfully that was made up by some of the other stuff, like we mentioned the facial animations and stuff before, but there's just some human movements that were just like, and you just repeat it and it doesn't quite cycle well. Oof.
Yeah, a couple of times I saw the movement being stilted.
Mm-hmm. And there's also
But-
one early animation I think where I saw like a guy turn too fast, and it was just like, oh, what was that?
Oh. All right. Bill?
They did Polly dirty in this episode. She just goes around either screaming or being captured or really not having anything helpful to do.
Like, at least with the screaming here, compared to like Underwater Menace, where she's just like, "Oh no, I can't go on," even though it's like right at the end of the thing.
Yeah, they didn't do it as bad as
I
Macra
give
Terror,
it a bit,
but I
yeah.
will give you that she had some moments of like, well, okay, guys, what the heck?
Yeah. At least the screaming here makes sense because it's like, holy shit, giant crab alien.
Yeah,
thing.
Giant fucking monster grabbing you, I'd be screaming and shouting too.
But basically, damsel in distress is her one mode in this episode.
Yeah. I think like the actress has said as well that's like every so often you get writers who had no clue what her character was actually like. You
I
get it
believe also in
stuff
particular with this
occasionally
particular
like that.
story, apparently her kids saw her screaming as the Macra were coming for her, and legit her kids turned her to their father and went, "Mom's coming home tonight, right?"
By the way, in the podcast channel now, you can see the actual original live action picture of the Macra.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder how it was flexible enough to pick up Polly.
I don't think that actually happened in the original. I'm pretty sure they just extended a claw to grab at her.
Yeah.
Probably because that seems to be the big thing that they did.
I'm pretty sure that and copies of it were just pushed around, and maybe they would try to fake the claw reaching out for somebody if they didn't use the other solo claw on its own.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the live action stuff to compare it to the animated stuff.
It doesn't hold a torch.
Yeah, it really doesn't. All
The
right,
original stuff is not
were
aged
we
well
at
for this story.
were we at Tim? What we disliked?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
I was a bit unclear about the effects of the brainwashing of the Macra in that, so the people are brainwashed that if they ever see a Macra, they'll immediately forget or not see it.
Oh, a little while
or-
later they'll forget, yeah, as long as they're ordered to.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then why was showing the pilot the control room with all the Macra in it break the spell? It was a bit
I think it's
confusing to
because
me.
they'd already broken the.
Yeah, they
the
had
thing
technically
on
broken the
the
thing in his
thing on
room.
the
They never had
gas.
it repaired the entire time for a couple hours. So he was
Yeah.
already
Oh.
starting to fight the control, and then they took him to see the Macra, and it completely bottomed him out.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right. So what I didn't like about the episode, oh God, I had something and I've lost it. Oh, I think sometimes I just couldn't quite buy the one of us children of the corn feel that we got from this guy.
Mm.
It just sometimes it worked and sometimes it was like, no, you're a little bit too independent-y there. What the hell, you know?
Mm.
He who walks behind the controller.
All right. So favorite scene, Thomas.
Ooh, I feel like yes. The doctor working out the equation, and the guy, the pilot or whoever coming up and being like,
Yeah, the pilot.
"Well, you must have copied it from us
Mhm.
because
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
exact thing."
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a
really?
great scene.
Crosses out the 10, gives himself
Yes.
11 out of 10.
I've done good today. I was
All
just
right.
guessing.
Matt?
Like, I feel like that scene is like Troughton's Doctor in a nutshell.
It is
Mhm.
kind of. Matt?
My favorite scene, the Jamie dance.
Oh,
Oh,
damn
God.
you.
The Highland fling.
Why is it called why is it called the fling? Because we fling ourselves right out the door.
Too bad it
Oops.
didn't work.
Oops. Yeah.
All right, Bill.
I think Thomas might have taken my original, so I'm especially after doing a whole other review, I'm having trouble remembering what my original intended scene was. So I think I'm going to go with the scene that stands out to me, which was the doctor gets arrested, so he's immediately okay. I'm going to play the fool for as long as I can until I actually have to say something.
All
And
right.
it kind of encapsulates the second Doctor in a nutshell.
Yeah, he's
All right.
always playing that mind game.
All right, Tim.
I love the scene where the doctor reverses the gas to save Jamie right in front of the guard, and like he plays like the obtuse person is like, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. Like, remember to divide by 3 and multiply by 9." It's like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that. It was like,
This is an episode where he succeeds at reversing the polarity.
yes.
This might be the first case of him reversing the polarity. Anyway, I think my favorite scene is where he gets into the pilot's room and, first gets himself in trouble by breaking the mind control and just proceeds to do it there without any kind of, the I don't give a shit mentality.
Yeah, so after about the midway point, he just starts going, and I'm fucking up all your bullshit plans. I don't get it anymore. Pop, pop. Mind control
right.
my friends, will you?
Least favorite scene.
Thomas. In hindsight, I probably could have used this as a least favorite aspect, but I didn't remember it until after I'd already given it. So I'll use a scene to represent this. And it's when they've been going on this whole time, or like they go on earlier about like, oh, if you inhale this gas, it'll kill you. And they kind of imply for most of it that it seems like you inhale this shit once and you're dead. But then it's like,
Not really.
hey, you have to secure this properly. Hey, get out of the way. Oh, he fainted. Like fainted. like they're walking around, like, you know, Jamie and that are walking around with masks on and that, and like stuff over their mouth and nose. But this one dude gets a full dose of it in the face, and all that happens is he fucking faints. Like that's a
It was only a quick burst. It
I
wasn't like he
kinda got
stood
the
right in front of it for several minutes.
I kind of got the impression it was more like they don't expect you to live longer than a month once you're working in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
true.
it was it
Like-
accumulates.
Yeah, like they finally bring that up later, but like up to that point, if you're just watching this the first time, to me it was like, well, wait a minute, the way they've been talking, it's like if you inhale this stuff, you're dead. But then like later on when they get locked in that room, it's like, well, it'll take 4 minutes for this room filling up with gas to kill them. It's like, okay, that makes a bit more sense. But you didn't bring that up earlier. It just sounded like if you inhale this at all, you're dead.
All right. Matt.
Thing that made me kind of I guess the when the head of the guards was I forget what they called him.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Something with police or something, I forget. But essentially when the controller says, "Oh yeah, you're in control now," and to hell with the captain or and it's just like, oh really? That wasn't predictable. Let's immediately hand over the keys to the most zealous, horrific person in charge here.
All right.
Just kind of irked me as an obvious
Yeah.
bad guy move. It's like,
Well, at that point, I think that they were just in the panic anyway.
in part, but yeah.
Bill.
Pilot.
So my least favorite scene, I'm going to go with the scene where the Macra is kind of like pleading with the doctor, like, you know, don't kill us, spare us. And then the doctor's like, yeah, fuck you. It just seemed a bit excessive to me, gratuitous.
Okay.
I did think that if this was like a later episode of Doctor Who, then the Doctor would like sort of like not be as not like black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's that,
Depending
but
on
there's
the
also,
era.
I think, the factor that they were literally trying to still suffocate the doctor and others in the same gas at that immediate moment. It's like, nah, there's no way getting us out of this room. You forced our hand. Is what I got out of that, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because yeah, they were still getting poisoned at that point.
All right, Tim.
I really didn't like the scene where the macro revealed the controller's true face, and it's like, who's this guy? What's his name? What's his story? Like, oh, he's dead. Well, that sort of defeated the purpose of the macro hiding. You know,
Yeah.
It was a faux pas all around.
It was just the Macra couldn't more epic fail at trying to hide their goings on.
I think that the idea is that they're supposed to not care because they feel like they've just brainwashed everyone to the point that they won't notice. And
if
they
they have to
don't
imprison
seem to.
everybody that just showed up, then so be it.
All right. So my least favorite scene is the 4 minutes they have inside the pipe tunnel, which seems to last about 6. And they're supposed to be getting massively gassed, yet the doctor is still able to give full-on instructions to Ben
Through a very thick door.
through a very thick, reinforced door.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's
Especially
amazing they
after
weren't dead
Ben
already.
walks away from the door and he's still
Yeah,
able
I'm
to
like-
hear him somehow.
Yeah.
Oh well.
All right. So now we're up to final thoughts.
Bill.
Somebody got some gas there?
Oh wait, no, yeah, that's Thomas first.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so funny because I don't know what the perception of this was back when we only had telesnaps. So I don't know if this is one of those ones that people might have thought was crap, and then it'll get reappraised like a few others have.
Basically, I
And
think
thought
it
that it
was
was
because
good.
there was not much to see of those telesnaps.
Yeah. But yeah, like I like this one a lot, but at the same time, there are just certain elements that bring it down a bit. Maybe like if I just like shut everything off, like don't have my laptop on at all, like just watch the thing as it is and try to make sure that I don't get distracted, at all. I might like upon further viewings I might like it more. But as it is, it's like it's good. The companions in Patrick Troughton are all great. But yeah, like I feel like I guess it's one of those things where the conceit of it, this very kind of 1984 controlled, like brainwashed people shit, is like very interesting, but some of the directions they go with it just kind of bring it down a bit for me. That said, I would still say that people should check it out when possible.
All right, Matt.
This episode had me hook, line, and sinker the entire time. I could not look away except for the fact that I needed to do some setup while I was getting towards the end of it. In which case I only did it when it was like really quiet or there was just a conversation time. And it's like, okay, I can pull away and do something quick. Okay, I'm back. The animation quality is as good, if not better, than some of our previous ones. And I feel they did a huge service for the Macra by upping them, as opposed to what they originally were like. Because now with this animated episode, they feel like a more common thread into the reimagination of them in the modern Who era. Also, I'd like to call out the opening bit with the animated doctor's face because I thought it was legit the real thing until I saw his face. It's like, oh, you guys did a good job. Okay.
All right, you done, Matt?
Yep.
Phil.
Right. This episode really had me hooked. I had planned knowing what I was going to say following up with that. Anyway, but yeah, the episode really had me hooked. The animation quality definitely helped in terms of it made it some of the scenes a lot more dynamic than they likely were with the original props.
Mhm.
But even still, like, just even watching, the expressions on the actors' faces and everything else like that, it was, just really great. And the story helped. I wish I wish the twist was preserved a little longer because I feel it was kind of obvious after an episode or two. But even still, I really enjoyed this episode.
All right. Tim.
I like this episode a lot too. I think it was one of Patrick Troughton's Troughtoniest, if you know what I mean. His whole doctor stick was great. The only weak link, I think, was Ben being brainwashed That could have been handled a bit better. In a weird way, I think it was a blessing that the original episode has been lost, because what we have with the animation, especially with the Macra, was probably ended up being better than the original live action, from what I can tell. So, but yeah, all in all, this was a fun romp.
All right. All right. So my opinion is, I agree. I was really hooked on this episode, so much so that I was behind schedule in doing our news and stuff because I just couldn't turn away. I think it's an upgrade from the original. I enjoyed a lot of it. I really didn't have a sense of it slowing down, really. And my dislikes for it are mostly nitpicks.
Mm-hmm.
I really think this one is done very well with its conversion to animated, and hopefully we will see more of this in the future. All right. Let's get us some ratings.
Thomas?
Despite how like disinterested I might have sounded, the more I think about an actual rating, the positives outweigh the negatives enough for me to not drop this that much. So, and I was almost thinking of giving it a 4, and then I thought, no, there's enough that even though I'm not comfortable giving it a 5 as of yet, I can at least give it a 4.5.
It's your second for the day. All right. Matt.
Oh gosh, I have to say I can make assumptions about what it looked like originally, but that would only be assumptions. But what we definitely got here, this actually got to be pretty high end for Second Doctor. So actually, I have to say 5. I really like this one. This one's a good sit.
All right, Bill.
I'm going to say parts of the discussion made me think of possibly dropping it to a 4, but I think I'm sticking with my original plan, which was to give this a 4.5.
Tim. Did we lose Tim again? Tim.
He's still in here.
Hmm.
Did he like AFK?
I don't see any signs of him.
So. I think I heard him say something that sounded like hello earlier, but
I wonder if he's
might be
having a
having his
hookup
work
and
problems
it's
again.
not officially kicked him yet.
Right.
I don't see anything from Tim. Well, I am going to have to move on to myself then.
Yeah, you have to mute yourself for now. We'll see if he comes back in before we end.
All right, so find enough.
He's typing apparently.
Find enough of it. Something wrong with the duck. Honestly, I don't think I can. I have to give this a 5. I enjoyed the hell out of this. I probably would have been a lot lower in its original because of the cheesy monsters, but with the animated upgrade, it did wonderful.
I think Tim might be just typing up his final thoughts, and maybe his score, because he's taking a while to type. 5 stars from Macra Terror from me. Discord went wonky.
All right, there we go. That's another 5. So
3 5s.
3 5s.
It's gonna rank pretty damn high.
3 5s, 2 4.5s give us an average of 4.8. And so we go to the rankings page. Why is this still divided by 0? Hang on a moment. I might need to fix something.
Fail.
Oh, yeah, season. Need to. Something's not. Why are you at 29? You stupid. Manually fix the stupid.
The manually fix you because dang it all.
Don't weep for the stupid. Crying all. All right. For some reason, it decided that I should be on number 29, not 27. Okay. So there we go. We now have our ratings, which, by the way, making sure that this is. Yeah. You realize with the. Oh, hold on a moment.
Hello?
Hello.
We hear
Hi.
you.
Hello, you're here in time to hear Randy not figure out what's going on here.
Yeah,
Oh.
we apparently the copy over I did for the stuff did not go well. So I'm having to fix tables the last second. Because I'm like, wait a minute.
I would play the Jeopardy theme if it wasn't copyrighted.
Okay, so with our scores of 4.5 and 4.8, we go to rankings. And the final data sort for this season. Can I get a yay on that?
Yay.
And then silence.
It's not. It's being a pain in the butt. Just give me a moment. And then
Well,
Z to A
while
on
he's
both.
doing that, you should
Nope,
comment
I've got it.
below with your thoughts on the episode.
Don't do that, Bill. Now you've screwed me up. Okay. All right. 4.8 puts the Macra Terror at number 19 out of 315 things reviewed.
Watch the animated version.
Yes, we're talking the animated version. It is on par with Dalek, Genesis of the Daleks, The Empty Child, The Doctor Dances, Time Heist, Tooth and Claw, Robots of Death, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, The Armageddon Factor, Hand of Fear, School Reunion.
Do we need to say more?
No, we really don't. And then at 4.5, Mission to the Unknown is at number 43 of 315 things reviewed. It is on par.
With a lot of things.
Yes, it is, with Rosa, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, The War Machines, The Invasion, The Rebos Operation, Thin Ice, World Enough in Time, The Doctor Falls, Resolution, Enlightenment, New Earth, The Zygon Invasion, The Zygon Inversion, and Utopia, Here Comes the Drums, Last the Time Lords. So there we go. Number 43 and number 19 on our list of 315 things reviewed. That's all we have to say about Mission to the Unknown and the Macra Terror. Now
Yes.
you can, Bill.
Yes. So if you haven't already, comment your thoughts on the episode below. Like the video if you did. And don't forget to subscribe if you're following on YouTube, or follow if you're following on Twitch.
All right. So next week we'll be taking a week off for our season break. But we'll be back on the 23rd for our start of season 13, where we will recover the remaining episodes of David Tennant. First off, it's going to be The Idiot's Lantern, written by Mark Gatiss, and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Billy Piper as Rose Tyler. So see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you all then. Have a good week.
Bye.